Hi, I'm Melissa McCurley, president of pickleballtournaments.com, and I'd like to welcome you to the exciting third annual PPR conference. Pickleballtournaments.com is proud to be working closely with the PPR to assist in your career development. We hope you enjoy the conference. Hi, I'm Melissa McCurley, president of pickleballtournaments.com, and I am very excited. It's a real pleasure and privilege to be here with you guys at the third annual PPR Pickleball Conference, a virtual event. So although this presentation was pre-recorded, I'm very happy to be here live with you on the video chat to interact and answer any questions that you may have. Today, I'm here to talk to you about tournament desk operations, how planning and preparation can help you. But you may be asking yourself, well, how do I even know if I want to put on a tournament, or why would I want to put on a tournament? Which is a very good question. So I want to talk a little bit about that first before we jump into tournament desk operations and the importance of having a solid tournament desk operation is to the overall success of your event. So with that, why put on a tournament? There are lots of reasons to put on a tournament. Some people are doing fundraisers or charities. Some people are just looking to promote the sport, strengthen their budgets, bring people together, strengthen their clubs, build relationships, provide opportunities for players that have those competitive juices and want to feed that competitive fire, provide them an environment to do that. And it just fosters enjoyment. But before you jump into putting on a tournament, because anyone who's been involved with that knows it is a big job and something important to really plan and prepare for. So things to consider: plan early, form committees, establish goals, set your budget, understand what your financial targets are, develop your policies and processes and procedures so that you can ensure that you create a consistent, fair process for the players that will be participating in your event. Also, determine the personality of your event, and what is meant by that is, are you looking for like social, fun rec play that's a half a day, a full day? Or are you looking for something that is over several days, that is more competitive in nature, that perhaps you're hosting yourself, or maybe you are supporting a tournament that's being hosted at your facility, be that something that's on the international level, one of the pro tour levels, or some other level. And then make sure you can secure, if you don't have a venue, whatever venue you do have access, you wanted to secure the appropriate venue for the particular tournament that you're going to be running. Other considerations before deciding if you're going to put on a tournament: do you want to sanction it with USA Pickleball? Do you need a marketing plan? Are you going to bring in sponsors and vendors to be a part of your tournament? What are your site needs? Meaning, do you need to bring in more food, more water options, hydration stations, if you will, more bathrooms, things like that. And then you need to consider the site layout to be able to support those additional needs. What are the spectator needs? Do you need more seating? Do you need more shade? COVID screenings, keeping in mind that there's now an additional requirement to do COVID screenings for people coming onto your tournament site. What about technology? Do you need access to technology and software to help you manage your event? And volunteer needs, and the training needs for those volunteers, and also referee needs. All of these are things that you need to consider before deciding if you're going to put on a tournament. So with that, now this gets into the meat of what I wanted to talk about today. As the most experienced tournament desk operator in the world, I have an up close and personal view on the collaboration, communication, and coordination that really needs to happen between a tournament director and a tournament desk operator. And it's really important that tournament directors understand there is a separation in that role. One of the most effective things about a tournament director is their ability to be able to um, understand the roles and responsibilities that need to be around them to help make them successful in their role, and also to be a strong delegator. A tournament director that tries to be everything to everybody will soon find themselves overwhelmed and not necessarily on the right path to success. So a tournament director, they are overall responsible for a tournament. They need to secure the venue. They need to secure any contracts that are required to take place to participate in a venue, sponsorships, partners, marketing, training, and the overall experience for everybody that's involved in the tournament, from players to volunteers to staff to spectators and that type of thing. The tournament desk operator, they're going to have the responsibility for a lot of the player experience. And so I call this things that happen inside the pickleball line. So they're going to be handling registration management, the bracketing, putting the play schedule together, looking at and helping piece together the site layout that ensures a proper player flow at the venue on tournament days, and on-site operations, court management, documentation, training, the overall experience for ensuring players are getting on court and coming off court in a timely fashion, and analysis and feedback. I'll talk a little bit more about what that means later. Input to the tournament director from a budget perspective. Certainly the operations are an expense, and that expense needs to be understood by the tournament director. And then the tournament operator also needs to understand the policies, processes, and procedures that the tournament director has put in place. And the number one thing, I should say, and you can apply this to any aspect in life in which you're interacting with other people, you got to have a strong communication and expectation setting, because without great communications and understanding how other people want to be communicated with, and without properly setting expectations, it's very difficult for parties to meet each other's goals. So that's really an important piece. Why defining and understanding roles are important. Many roles are needed to have a successful event. Tournament directors handle those responsibilities outside the lines. I mentioned that tournament desk operators handle responsibilities inside the lines. So what I mean by that is the tournament director, so for everything that happens outside of that pickleball court where those players are playing, that's the responsibility of the tournament director. The venue, the restrooms, the food, the hydration stations, welcome centers, volunteers, referees. And it's really important that the tournament director put a structure in place that delegates these roles out to different members of a committee. So someone's in charge of volunteer and volunteer appreciation, someone else in charge of referees, someone else in charge of marketing and sponsorship, someone else responsible for the parking, the overall operations of the facility itself. And then they need to make sure that someone's responsible for their tournament desk and their registration management. So then the tournament desk piece handles all of those things inside the lines, everything involved with a player getting on that court, playing their matches, coming off that court, and getting back on the court timely for their next match. So I refer to tournament operations as the glue of an entire tournament. So, all of the heavy lifting going into a tournament is done before you ever get to the tournament. I refer to getting on site and running a tournament as showtime, meaning you have done that heavy lifting. Now you're on site. It is go time. And it's really fun to experience all the hard work and the planning and preparation that you've done when you get into an event. To see just how much fun everybody is having when they come, and there's nothing more rewarding than players coming by and letting their thanks and appreciation for the work that you have done. The tournament operator is also working with that tournament director to ensure proper site and player flow from the time that player comes in to check into the venue, through going through and seeing your sponsors and your venue, where the food's located, where the restrooms are located, where the tournament operations are located, and how then those locations then facilitate the flow overall to where they go and play. It's important for the tournament operator to keep things on time. That's from helping ensure the tournament director is where they need to be when they need to be, making sure play starts right on time, and then managing to plan. Every tournament operation has a solid plan for when a tournament's going to start and when that tournament is going to finish. And it has to be managed. If you're not managing it, then it will be felt throughout the entire experience. So, and the communication around that is always important. Player orientations are certainly important. There are so many new people coming and playing tournaments these days. And so making sure that they understand their role and how to participate in the tournament is really key. Keeping the tournament director up to date, keeping your head referee up to date, keeping your volunteer lead up to date on how things are going throughout the day is also very important. And managing that court time, getting people on and off court in a timely fashion, and being able to adapt. And adapting can come from other factors that get thrown your way, whether it be weather delays, internet outages, any sort of outside factor, a tournament emergency that would require you to adapt your plan and then communicate those adaptations to all of the stakeholders that are involved. And stakeholders in this case would be your players, your volunteers, your referee, head referee, your tournament director, people in those key roles. So that's what I talk about being the glue. The tournament operations is keeping everything on the track. Those that know me know I talk a lot about a tournament, a pickleball tournament being much like a train speeding down the tracks at 100 miles an hour. And, sometimes it tips this way, sometimes it might tip that way. But the goal of the top tournament operator is to always keep the tournament on the rails. And, I know that these, how fast that train's going or how much tipping it might be doing also depends on the type of tournament you're running as well. If there's something more relaxed at the club, level, social level, you're doing a half day of round robin play or a full day, that's going to be a much different experience than if you're running something as large as a USA Pickleball Nationals event or a US Open event or some of the larger Pro Tour events. Other roles to consider, and this is important for a tournament operator because you as a tournament operator have a specific role, but how successful you can be in that role is dependent on the other factors that support you and are around you. So facilities and operations. I mean, if players can't get water, if players can't get food, if players don't have access to a restroom, that's an impact to the experience and an impact to your being able to properly manage your court time. Volunteers, if if you have not communicated the support roles that you need from volunteers to support you and ensure that those volunteers are trained in those roles, that's also going to impact you in your role as a tournament operator. referee management. If there's referees that are going to be at a tournament, there's a collaboration that occurs between the tournament desk operator and their head referee to make sure that it's understood what matches are going to be reffed. It's understood that the tournament operator may sometimes need to alert the referee desk of certain matches that need to be reffed. And also your live streaming. This is more around professional events where you might be managing a championship court. And production teams that are putting on that stream, making sure that there's a schedule for that championship court that everybody is in line with, and also making sure that it's a seamless transition from match to match. So after the tournament, so, you have a plan, you've prepared, you've communicated, you've set expectations, you've then come in and you've run the tournament, you've been glue for the entire operation. Everybody's had a wonderful experience, from volunteers to spectators to the tournament director and his staff that you're supporting. And now that it's after the tournament, and there are things even after the tournament that you have to ensure are completed, and that is ensuring complete and accurate results. Players really do follow their play, and they want to be able to make sure that their results were captured and accurate, reported, and visible if to them, so that they can go back and see that from a historical perspective. So it's also recommended that you retain score sheets for some period of time, depending on the particular tournament. Sometimes 2 weeks is enough. Sometimes you need to keep them for some remaining months in case there's some kind of question that comes up around the score. You can have a reference to go back to and work from to see if there needs to be a change. Also conducting some analysis. Something that is important to do is, if you have worked to your plan, you need to make sure that your plan was actually executed as you had expected. And again, plan being, I started when I said I was going to start, I finished when I said I was going to finish, and matches came off and on court in a timely manner. You want to do some analysis to make sure that the actuals is what you had to plan. So if you were starting at 8, you started at 8. If you were supposed to finish at 5, as long as you finished within a half hour of that finish time, meaning a half hour after or a half hour before, then you'll know that you have ran to plan. You can also do some analysis on your seating to see how accurate your seating was. If you're running sanctioned events with USA Pickleball, they have automated seating. If you are not, then that requires you to do some of your own research on players in your tournament and their history to try to seed your brackets as best you can. Seeding is so important to the quality of the play of the brackets and important to that overall player experience. And then lastly, solicit feedback. So as a tournament operator, you are in a support role to the tournament director, and the service that you provide to them is something that you want to get feedback from in an effort to always be learning and growing and improving as a tournament operator. So that's it. So we really covered, why briefly you would put on a tournament. And then once you say, yes, I'm gung-ho, I'd want to put on a tournament, then understanding the differences in the roles between a tournament director and a tournament operator, other roles that also need to be considered, and some of the structure that should be put around a tournament to better understand and define roles and responsibilities that go to putting on a successful event. So, and all of this can apply whether it's a small tournament, a medium tournament, or a large tournament. One of the things that I have found over the years, and I've been at this for 7 years, I was the first person to run an 800 player tournament, 1200 player tournament, and then a 2200 plus player tournament. I have the pleasure of doing the US Open, Nationals, both pro tours. and a number of other events as well. So I have a perspective around the processes, policies, procedures that are based on real hand knowledge and experience from doing the job. So I know that they're scalable. So no matter the size of your tournament, the structure still needs to be in place. It is scalable from the smallest tournament to the largest tournament. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to questions, and I look forward to answering them. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation, found it informational, keeping in mind I had 20 minutes on a topic that could take several hours over a course of many days to completely cover. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.